all have days when we're unhappy with our drawing and painting, perhaps when we're feeling run down, a little bit under the weather, or maybe just tired, and you've got other things on your mind. And if you're putting pressure on yourself to draw a perfect drawing and do things right every time, you'll find that you get really frustrated on days like that. So what you need to do is take the pressure off yourself and learn just to relax and enjoy the process. It can be difficult to relax when you can't find your mojo and when you're worrying about all the jobs that you've got to do. But if you just take half an hour to sit and sketch and enjoy yourself, you'll find that you'll soon get back into your painting and drawing. If you watch me here, you'll notice when I set off with the tulip, I'm very tight and I'm very considered and everything's a little bit stiff. But after I've been sat there for half an hour, towards the end of the drawing, you'll see how I'm loosening up. So then I could go on afterwards to do one of my larger paintings that I want to work on. So this is something that I would do in the morning if I'm not quite feeling like setting off straight away with my painting. If perhaps I'm a little bit tired, I will do this to get myself into the mood, into the zone, if you want to call it that, for doing my own work. When I get to the end of this sketch, just take a good look at how the lines have changed over the course of the sketch, from those really hard lines to begin with to the very loose lines when I finish this bouquet. So this bouquet of spring flowers is completely out of my head, just in a little A5 sketchbook on some watercolour paper. The pen that I'm using is a size 1 micron fine liner, and the paints that I'm using are the spring collection by the Viviva, so the watercolour paints from their spring set, which has got some lovely colours in it. So I didn't, fill in every petal with the paint. I just wet the whole thing and popped the paints where I thought the colours should be. So as it was out of my imagination, that didn't really matter anyway. So I've speeded this up ×4, so that gives you an idea of how long I actually spent on this sketch. But that time that I was doing this, I was relaxing, I wasn't thinking about anything else. So even though I was tired, even though I was feeling a little bit that I couldn't be bothered doing anything, I did this sat on a stool. I often tell you to stand up while you're working, because that way you can move your arm more. And when I am doing my paintings, which I need to do quite a few at the moment because I'm getting ready for an exhibition and it's something that's on my mind that I need to meet these deadlines. When I'm standing at my easel, I'm always standing and I'm always using my whole arm. When I'm doing this, because I was tired, I was sat on it's like a bar stool, it's like a swivelly bar stool, and that's kind of halfway between the sitting and standing. You're kind of perched, so you've still got that room to move, but if you're feeling a bit tired, it's quite handy to have is that you find yourself in a good position, because my worktop where I have my camera is about the same height as a kitchen unit or a bar would be. Now, although these flowers are imaginary, I did try and keep them quite springy, so things that perhaps look like, they do look like tulips and hyacinths, with some other imaginary stuff in between and lots of kind of leaves and things not necessarily joining up. And I went nice and dark in between them to make the shapes pop out of the shapes that I did like. So obviously when you start sketching with a pen, and you do a line that you don't like, it's just tough luck. You've just got to carry on. And as this is just an exercise in helping you relax and get into the right frame of mind, more than relaxing, just getting into that frame of mind, getting back into your sketching and drawing if you've had a few days off or even a few weeks off. You can't be stopping and worrying about an ink line that's wrong. Nobody's going to see this. It's in your own personal sketchbook. There's things I don't like about this. It doesn't matter. Just keep going with it and don't put that pressure on yourself. And I did a video about this before, and I will link it up above, because I know some of you quite like that, about how we are our own worst critics, making ourselves or expecting ourselves to do everything right every time and to draw everything as if it's a photograph and if it's completely accurate. You're getting an essence of the flowers, you're getting an essence of spring. It doesn't matter if they're a little bit out of proportion. It doesn't matter if you've got a line crossing where it shouldn't cross. You're not doing this to be analysed by someone to say this has to look like a photograph. You're doing it for your own relaxation and for your own pleasure. So take that pressure off yourself and learn, as Picasso said, Learn to draw like a child. I think it was Picasso, was it? Am I remembering that wrong? Have I got that quote wrong? Let me think about that. And what he was saying was we need to draw like a child as an adult, because we forget that. The problem is, and I think this is perhaps where he was coming from, is as an adult we worry about what other people think, and we worry about perfection, as I've just said, putting that pressure on ourselves. When a child's drawing, they're really not worried about what anybody thinks about it, because they haven't got that self-awareness, that worrying about what others think. They haven't reached that age where they're critical of themselves. They're just enjoying themselves, and they're just seeing what they see in front of them and putting those lines on the paper and having fun with it. And as we get older, we're too aware of what we're doing and too worried about what others think of us. So put that to the back of your mind and just do it to relax and enjoy it, and not worry about what anybody else thinks about it, because I don't believe you can progress as an artist if you are too worried about criticism from others. Because at the end of the day, and this is something you really need to remember, is the worst critics, the people that go, oh, my auntie can draw, she could have done better than that, or blah de blah. You'll hear this a lot when you go to art fairs and things. The ones that are criticising you the most are the ones that have never attempted it. Other people in your class that you're, you know, if you go to an evening class or something where you're drawing and painting, if you go to an art group, anybody else that does it themselves, professional artists, somebody that's been doing it for 20 years, somebody that's just been doing it for 6 months, they will all empathise with you. They've all been beginners, they've all learnt along the way, they've all made mistakes, they've all improved as they've gone along and had paintings that they like and had paintings that they don't like. The ones that are going to criticise you are the ones that never try, and you really don't need to worry about what they think, do you? So just put that right to the back of your mind. This is a bit of a rambly video today. I just wanted to chat to you for a change, really. Sometimes I feel like I'm always talking about what I'm doing, going through everything step by step sometimes, and I just wanted to chat in general about your own art and your attitude towards it. And I'm just wondering, actually, if you want to put down in the comments whether yours are the same, or whether perhaps you wouldn't be watching me if your style was to have perfectionism and realism in your work. I think most people that watch my channel want to get a bit looser with the work. And like I say, this gets looser as it goes along. When it came to putting the paint on at the end, I just did wet the paper first with a big brush, and then just used a smaller brush to just drop that colour in. Like I said, you'll see that at the end. I'm not really drawing with my paint, I'm just popping it on. If you don't want to do something from your imagination in your sketchbook, you could of course just pop something in front of you, and that doesn't have to be some flowers. That could be whatever you have at hand. It could be your coffee mug that's in front of you at the moment. It could be whatever you're making for tea. You might have an onion sat on the side chopped in half. Something like that is nice to sketch for practicing when you're feeling a bit rusty, when you're feeling a bit tired and you don't know what to do. Just do something that's in front of you very quickly, and relax into it, because you will soon get back into things. People say they can't think what to draw, they don't know where to start. Just start with whatever is next to you at the moment on your table or wherever you're at the moment. It might just be that you're drawing a pen, it might be that you're drawing your own glasses, an apple. Start with an apple or a pepper, something like that, a tomato, one object if you're not confident in your drawing. And just thinking back to what I said a few moments ago about the critics, people that have never had a go at it will criticise you. You do get some funny statements when you go to art fairs. I was at an art fair on Saturday, and to be fair, I didn't have any daft statements this week. It was really good, and a lot of nice people through chatting about my work, etc. But you do get lots of people saying, you can hear them, and I don't know if they think you're deaf or whatever, but you hear people saying, oh, I could do that, or blah blah blah, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. So if you've had incidents like that, do put them down in the comments below. And I am sounding like I'm a little bit grumpy today, but I'm not at all, really. I'm just, it's just things that I wanted to share with you because you've perhaps got these same experiences. The thing that sparked this video really was I did a workshop last Tuesday, I think it was, locally, and it was a beginner's drawing, so we did still life drawing. And there was one lady there in particular who said, she really wasn't feeling it, she was struggling a little bit, and she persevered, because we had 3 hours there. She persevered. So her first couple of drawings she really wasn't happy with, but by the end of the morning she was much happier and she'd relaxed and she'd enjoyed her morning. So keep going with your drawing. however much you're struggling, however much criticism you're putting on yourself, which you really shouldn't be doing, when you've done your drawings in your sketchbook, and do keep a sketchbook, it's really a good idea to have a sketchbook. Whatever you've drawn, whether you've just, like I said, drawn the apple that you were about to eat, put a date on it so that in a year's time, in 5 years' time, you can look back and see how you've progressed. And sometimes actually you'll look back and think, oh, I was actually better than I am now, because sometimes, you know, your style changes over time. You might get looser, you might get tighter. We all have different, you know, times when I think we tend to loosen and tighten up with our work as we go along. Some of that depends on the media as well. But you might think, you know, oh, I quite like that, and I might develop that. I might work on that onto a larger painting. So look back through your sketchbooks from years ago, and there might be something there that you could perhaps make into a larger painting. And do try painting just from the sketches in your sketchbook rather than from a reference photo or from life. Just have your sketchbook and nothing else, and you'll find you can make some really nice loose paintings that way, because you haven't got all that detail to get stuck and bogged down into. You can keep it loose and impressionistic and add to it, change the colours, alter the composition perhaps slightly, but get that basic idea and your shapes from what you were doing in your sketchbook of the things that you liked, that you've looked back at, that you've dated there. I've had quite a few new followers recently, and I'd be very interested to know whether you're beginners and whether you want more beginners tuition, or whether you're perhaps at the stage where you're wanting to sell your artwork and maybe you want some more videos along those lines. So if you could put that in the comments below, it'd be really helpful to me to know what kind of videos you would like. I've got quite an eclectic mix of videos now because I've been doing it for quite a few years, and I'm just doing them now. When I began, I started doing them 3 times a week, and it's a lot of pressure to put on yourself to stick to that timetable, and it takes a lot of time away from my own painting. So what I'm doing now, you've probably noticed this, what I'm doing now is just putting them videos on YouTube when I think of something I want to talk about and when I've got those few minutes spare to do it. So what I tend to do is do them in amongst doing my own paintings. So when I need to leave a painting to dry, I'll go and do something with YouTube. So I do hope to get more time to do more videos, but it's just fitting it in. So if I disappear for a couple of weeks, it probably means I'm doing an exhibition or something else. So as, you know, as summer's coming up, we've got quite a lot going on. Those of you that have been following me for quite a long time now might recall that I'm a dairy farmer's wife. I live on a dairy farm, and actually what we're going to be doing this year is selling all the dairy herd. Sort of semi-retiring, but not retiring. My husband will be doing something different, so we'll still be here on the farm, but we are going to be selling the cows. So that's going to take a lot of my time. This year we've got a lot going on with my exhibition coming up as well. So if I'm not around on YouTube, do follow me on Instagram and you'll see what I'm up to over there. So I'll stop waffling on now, because that was quite disjointed chat, just whiffling on. And I'll let you get on with your drawings in your sketchbook. So thank you very much for watching, and I shall be back again with you soon.